Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for clicking on the Wednesday Afternoon Weather Webcast for July 2nd, 2014. I'm meteorologist Nate Harrington. More heat in the Wiregrass today. A heat advisory in effect for most of the Wiregrass this afternoon through 6 o'clock because of all that heat and humidity. And also, we're going to talk about Tropical Storm Arthur, the latest on that. It is starting to strengthen and show some signs of getting a little bit better organized. We'll talk about that just ahead. But around the Wiregrass today, it was hot, it was humid, no rainfall. We did see some clouds, though, some high clouds move in, and that's actually helped just a little bit obscure some of the sunshine. If we didn't see these clouds, it would be really toasty for today. I want to show you temperatures right now. We're still in the mid-90s. Don't get me wrong, it's still hot outside, but not even close to as hot as it could have been if those clouds stayed away. We'll show you why the clouds formed here in a second. 90s, middle 90s for most. The two spots that are normally a little bit hotter than everybody else because their thermometers are busted, 99 in Donaldsonville and Andalusia. I'm thinking probably in the middle 90s as well for those folks there. But when you factor in the dew points, which are still in the upper 60s and low 70s, it feels more like the 100-degree mark or slightly above. It feels like 100 Geneva, 101 in Enterprise, 100 in Troy, 101 Abbeville, 103 in Blakely. I don't believe the 114 in Donaldsonville, but it feels like 100 degrees near the beaches. The heat advisory goes until 6 o'clock tonight for the heat index values above 100, but actually we're close to that heat advisory criteria. Those heat indices have to be above 106 for a prolonged period of time, but we haven't seen that today. I think this heat advisory will be reissued tomorrow as more heat and humidity moves into the Wiregrass, but some changes by Friday that we'll tell you about, actually exciting changes for the 4th of July forecast here in just 1 minute. So the reason why we had clouds around the Wiregrass today, some showers and thunderstorms formed down in the Gulf of Mexico, and those clouds moved north into our neck of the woods, so those clouds actually helped out a bit. And the other feature that we see off to the east coast of Florida, is Tropical Storm Arthur. Now, Arthur has looked a lot better today than it has in recent days. Kind of ragged this morning, but a very well-defined center of circulation has formed, and actually, you can kind of call this the beginning of an eye for Arthur. Not a hurricane just yet, and we normally have eyes with storms when they're hurricanes, but this is a very well-defined center of circulation. Arthur now has sustained winds of 60 miles an hour. There are the latest particulars on Arthur, and it is forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane by Thursday afternoon. Right around, we're talking probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think Arthur will become a Category 1 storm, and forecast to move up the East Coast and become a low, a subtropical low, by Sunday morning. Arthur isn't going to be anything to sneeze at. Could be a big rainmaker for folks along the Outer Banks, and a lot of wind too. Let's check out the warnings and watches. Tropical storm watches exist for the North Carolina, South Carolina border and points south to the Santee River. This does include Myrtle Beach, and then the North Carolina, South Carolina border north, basically the entire coast of North Carolina under a tropical storm warning, and parts of that North Carolina coast from Bogue Inlet to Oregon Inlet are under a hurricane watch at this hour. So a lot of weather coming for those folks in the next 24 to 48 hours. Some heavy wind, lots of surf, lots of rainfall, especially for the Outer Banks. This is going to be mostly a coastal event. Folks in the bigger cities inland aren't going to be affected too much, but some significant impacts for folks along the Outer Banks. Watch the Futurecast. You can definitely see where Arthur is, and this is by Thursday afternoon. You can see it kind of makes a pass by the South Carolina, the South Carolina coastline, but stays well offshore. Then by Thursday afternoon into the evening time hours, it'll make its way up the North Carolina coastline, and some of the outer bands and maybe even the outer wall, the outermost ring of some of the stronger convection in the middle of the storm will pass through the Outer Banks by Friday early morning, by midnight and shortly thereafter, but the eye looks like it'll stay offshore. And there is the rest of the 48-hour forecast. The storm starts to open up as it approaches some of the cooler water of the northern Atlantic, and by the time it gets even with, say, Cape Cod up in Boston, it'll lose most of its tropical characteristics and become a subtropical low. It'll still pack some wind, still pack some rain. I think folks along the East Coast in the bigger cities, especially New York, Boston, Hartford, Could see some heavy rain out of this and maybe some wind, but the direct impacts will stay minimal. All right, future temperatures for tomorrow for us will start in the mid-70s, get right back into the mid-90s and upper 90s. I'm going to slow down on the temperatures just a little bit. Shouldn't have gone too hot for today. I don't think I'll go too hot for tomorrow either. Probably mid, maybe upper 90s, 95, 96 for an afternoon high tomorrow. The good thing about Arthur is for us is the direction it's moving to the north and east. On the back side of Arthur, the big area of low pressure, we see winds funnel down from the north, and by Friday, it's going to feel a little bit different. It's still going to be hot around here, but the humidity will be relatively absent. We're going to see dew points in the low 60s and upper 50s, and that's going to feel downright comfortable for this time of year. So that's going to be pretty nice, but still need to keep in mind folks along the North Carolina, South Carolina coast, and even the Virginia coast. Going to be kind of a rough 48 hours for them as they prepare for some of the effects from Tropical Storm Arthur. If you have any questions about the weather webcast, feel free to let us know at the social media sites down below, and hopefully we'll see you back here on Thursday.